What is going on YouTube? Kronos here and welcome back to a PSO2 video. So today's video is going to be kind of a throwback to how I used to record my videos. I felt like this is kind of the best format to show you guys what I'll be doing today, but essentially what we're going to be going through is more or less the first set of weapons I'm going to be preparing for NGS. And this might be kind of like a bit of a series where I go over a couple of weapons that I'll be going ahead and preparing, moving towards NGS itself. I know tons of people are super excited for the game that's going to be coming out pretty soon. If you have questions about what's worth investing into, what's worth not, and to be perfectly honest, I don't know 100%. But before we jump into that, as always guys, my name is Chrono. I do content over here on YouTube daily. I'd really appreciate if you're new to the channel, toss a subscribe. I'm going to keep up with the content we're going over. And if you like this sort of content, toss a like on the video too. It does help out quite a bit. Anyway guys, let's jump into this. So we're basically going to be making a specific type of weapon. It's kind of funny, right? Because this weapon previously, when it first released over on Global, it was a weapon that I called basically dead on arrival. I didn't think it had a purpose. Well, I'll be honest with you, I know it didn't really have much of a purpose. It had really one niche use for it, and that was endless. And even then, it's early endless. Even later endless runs, people really didn't use it very much. So I think some people have it as strategies for endless today, but it really depends, honestly. Either way, we're talking about the Ophistia weapons. So Ophistia weapons, I do want to go ahead and actually show you guys, and it wouldn't be one of my videos if I wasn't prepared. I actually want to go ahead and show you guys the potential that it's going to be using in NGS. Now, this doc has been going around the community, and I'll be more than happy to post a link in the video description to it itself. It also does show a lot of information underneath here, the PS2 to NGS transfer information, generic stuff, some PS2 comic codes if you haven't gotten all of them, augmentation to show how those transfer as well. So very useful. I'll toss that into the video description. It's actually provided to me by my chat. Super awesome guys. Anyone who whoever's managing this thing, you guys want to DM me, that way you have a link that goes to this. I'd be more than happy to go ahead and update the video description with that information. Anyway, so shout out to whoever made this. Thank you very much. So if we're taking a look at potentials, we can see we got quite a few weapon potentials that are shown for NGS. Now, the one that we're going to be talking about today specifically, of course, you can look through all of these individually. There's tons of weapons here. Keep in mind the power of these weapons, though they do scale differently in PSO2 and NGS, they're going to be scaled to 4-star weapons. The power is going to be kind of limited. Now granted, they're going to be still really powerful. And it is still worth making quite a few of these weapons because, to be honest, the early game grind in NGS did have a lot to do with resource management. And the less resources we have to spend on certain things, the more we'll have available for later upgrades. So definitely will be worth being able to save up a couple of things. Now granted, there is always the chance that the issues we had in beta may not be a possibility, or they may not be an issue for you guys in full release. Now, that is up to you as an individual to decide on. If you feel like, my time is better spent collecting fashion, or my time is better spent playing something else, by all means, go for that. This is not a video telling you, hey, you need to make these things before NGS comes out. This is an informative situation or a formative piece letting you know, hey, look, here's some things you can work on if you have some extra resources and you want to go ahead and put them into something. That way you have maybe a bit more of just a slight edge when it comes into NGS. Now, when I say an edge, why am I mentioning about the Ophistia weapons? Well, in NGS, its potential is actually changed into, of course, 23% power. This is pretty standard across the board. Anywhere between 22 to 24% power is what you're looking at for a lot of these weapons. Even the Lightweaver Claws is 23% power when the potential is activated. But Ophistia weapon has 23% power, and the Photon Blast gauge increases by an additional 15% when attacking. Now in NGS, your Photon Blast gauge actually uses your weapon. So it's kind of like a special attack, almost kind of similar to the build-up PAs over on Global, or complex PAs if you're used to JP. These Ophistia weapons, or Austera over on JP, are very easy to make. Like, insanely easy, to the point that I don't have anything prepared for it. We're gonna make one in this video right now. I'm gonna show you guys how simple it is to make. It'll cost you, actually, to be perfectly honest with you, you can get everything you need from Cradle. And when I say everything you need from Cradle, I mean if you want to get the drops, you get the drops from Cradle. If you want to get the cubes, you get the cubes from Cradle. Everything, literally everything, even the money you make, get it from Cradle. So Ophistia series weapons require 4 weapons overall to make, and we're going to go over each of those weapons in just a moment. Keep in mind this is going to be a 4-star weapon. 4-star will be the max rarity on NGS launch. We don't know when we'll get higher rarities or anything along those lines, but this will be the max rarity that's available. So even if you have, let's say, class weapons, it might be useful to use something like this to build up a PA and then hot swap over to use your Photon Blast. And then of course, while your Photon Blast is on cooldown, then you use your claws. So something to think about. Maybe it's a higher level of optimization that might not be necessary, but if you're someone who, you got the time, you got nothing else to work on, might as well, right? Why not? It also feels like a good slot of weapon to start with if you say don't have weapons for other classes you might want to play, like say you tried something really cool in NGS and you're like, you know what, I don't really want to make a light weaver for it, but I don't mind investing a little bit in to have a weapon. That way when I do hit 15 or whatever the level is going to be for these 15-star weapons, I am good to go. So let's actually just jump into why I'm even showing this off to you guys, because again, it's insanely easy to make. So I'll go ahead and show you guys. I've already made myself 7 of them. I've made 7 of these weapons already. Element doesn't really matter because elements aren't going to be in NGS itself. What else do we have to make? Let's see. Let's go with the Talus. We haven't made the Talus yet. Let's start there. So of course your mileage may vary, depends on the ship that you're on, but let's go ahead and show off what you need to make these weapons. So you are going to need 4 weapons total. To make the Ophistia, you will need an Invade weapon, an Ares weapon, a Nemesis weapon, and a Raven weapon, and 400 X cubes. So Invade arm, Ares Talus, Nemesis symbol, and Raven symbol. Now, all of these items can be purchased from the market. Now granted, if you don't want to purchase them from the market, technically you can just do Cradle. A lot of them drop there. I think the other weapons you would need drop from a Mothership, which is run a lot less. But anyway, you're going to see that you're gonna find most of what you need directly from the market board. So you've got an 8-slot Talus. Now granted, when you're doing this, you want at least one of your weapons to be 8-slot. We got an 8-slot Talus right here. So we're gonna grab this. We're good to go with our Ares. We need to grab an Invade. Let's get that taken care of. An Invade arm. Doesn't matter what it is. We need a Raven and a Nemesis. Raven symbol, I believe it was called. Raven symbol. This one is quite limited, so be careful. Depends on the ship you're on, because these can be turned into cubes. Some people have been turning them into cubes and not worried about selling them. And Nemesis. I can already hear the comments, oh my god, you're gonna make all these prices go up ridiculously high. Honestly, don't even have to worry about buying them. Just go farm Cradle. Like legitimately, the ones that usually are like that we have less of, drop straight out of Cradle. And you can do it pretty blindly. I know some people like, oh, farming Cradle is mind numbing. Just find the class that's the easiest to AoE in. Like some classes are just fun to do AoE damage with. Like, so get yourself set up with something, turn on some Netflix, and just grind away. You'll make tons of money and you'll get everything you need. So let me go ahead and lock this. This is from something I was doing on stream today. We've got our Nemesis, Raven, Invade, and Ares Taluses, right? Now, next I'm gonna need, actually, I'm gonna go ahead and fix something in my inventory really quick. 1 second. All right, so to fix up the inventory a little bit, we've got our weapons we got here. Next thing we're gonna be needing is some upgrade items. We are gonna have to get these weapons 2 plus 35 a piece. Now I didn't check this when I'm buying, but you might wanna check this as well. Make sure the weapon you're buying is a drop and not just bought from the Rising Weapon Badge shop, because the Rising Weapon Badge weapons are gonna be a plus 30. Now granted, if you've got plenty of them, you have plenty to spare, you have plenty of, Rising Weapon Badges, or I believe they might be unique weapon badges, don't quote me on that one. If you got plenty of badges to spare, then yeah, you can use that to get them, but just be careful that you're getting, the ones that are drops basically off of the market. Now we're going to need a lot of these. These are basically weapon EXP minis, the way you actually upgrade your weapons. Now, granted, it also costs you quite a few lambda grinders, but to be honest, if you have been doing things correctly, you really probably have tons of lambda grinders. It's not often you're going to be upgrading 13-star weapons and up consistently, so you should probably have tons of lambda grinders like I do. But if you don't, worst case scenario, all you need to do is purchase a 12-star weapon instead, upgrade that 12-star weapon as high as you can, like with these weapon EXP minis, and then feed the 12-star weapon into your 13-star weapon to limit the use of your lambda grinders. Fairly simple, fairly cheap, no big deal. But I have tons of lambdas, so I'm not really worried about it. It just makes my life easier to not have to do that. So make sure you don't overfeed, of course. We're gonna feed this to 10. And all we're gonna be doing here is upgrading our weapon to plus 35. Now this is the longest part of this process itself. It does take some time to complete. It is a bit of a pain, but what you're gonna find is you can very, very easily make a weapon for very little money invested actually. Because if you look at the amount of money each of these weapons costs us, maybe 100k, if even that. About 400k in as far as cost goes. And the rest of this is just going to cost X cubes. Now, we did a bit of rough math. The X cubes, because it costs about 400 of these X cubes to make each weapon, plus the amount of X cubes you spend on the weapon EXP minis, usually takes about 30 to 35 of these to upgrade something without really any bonuses at all. Now granted, of course, there's a bonus going on for grinding at the moment, so Gonna have to factor that in, right? Luck does play a factor in how many of these you're gonna end up using overall. But we averaged about 1100 grinders per weapon. I'm sorry, not grinders, but 1100 X cubes per weapon. In the grand scheme of things, that's nothing. That means you can make a weapon for a class that you might want to try out in NGS for about 1100 cubes and 400k. How insane is that? Now granted, I'm not telling you to go out there and make a claws weapon. I will tell you that yes, they're going to be the strongest weapons you can get, at least from what we've seen so far. Now granted, they could come out with a different weapon that's available on launch, maybe like a drop or something like that from one of the urgent quests that's super good, better than a claws weapon. Sure, absolutely, that's definitely a possibility. The potentials are definitely could be better overall, but we don't know that. And honestly, I've got all the money to spend. Even if I didn't really, like, this isn't even that much. Like, I could do my weeklies and take that money and still make this and have money to spare, which is the crazy part, right? Let's go ahead and head over to where we pick up these weapon XP minis. I can go ahead and show you guys where that works as well. Heading over to the X Cube shop. Nothing too crazy. For the X Cube shop, we're just gonna buy a stack of these. Now, of course, not everyone can buy a stack because you may not, have the inventory space for it, but just, I'd say buy maybe about 30 of them at a time, 30 to 40 of them. Should be enough to upgrade at least one weapon and then go back and pick up some more. For the sake of making this video not too terribly long, we're just going to go ahead and buy a bunch. Here we go, enhanced weapon. So these are all plus 35, yes, okay. We have one more to finish. Now usually you want to go ahead and not put yourself at 10 because there's a chance you might get a great success. And if you do get a great success, you're going to overcap the experience, right? So give yourself that chance. And if you have, enhancement level support item stuff, you can go ahead and use them here. I use all mine as like I get them, so I never really have any sitting around or lying around too often, just to kind of save on materials when I can. And we're at 30 now, and then we're gonna finish off this last one to 35. And there we go. Now that weapon's 35. Now all we have to do, head over to Zig, go to Technique Weapon, head over to Talus, go down to our Feisty Arm, and bam. Give him everything. Now here's the important part. Remember how I mentioned we only need one 8-slot weapon? Well, you pick the weapon that is your base. Now, because we picked our Ares as our base, it's an 8-slot weapon, has some augments on it. Now the Ophicia that we make, as soon as I get to it, is an 8-slot Ophicia. And it's just that easy. We're good to go. We now have a Talus that we can use as a weapon when we level up, say Force on NGS. I think maybe, does Tekker get to use it as well? I forget if Tekker gets to use it as well. And there we go. It's just that simple. Fairly inexpensive to do. Honestly, extremely reasonable as far as weapons go. And I would say probably my #1 pick for, hey, I need a weapon for NGS. I'm coming back. What can I make? What can I use? This is probably the first thing I would tell most people to make because it's so crazy inexpensive. Like insanely inexpensive. Now, don't get me wrong, there are other options that are also very good, and we're going to talk about those in their own separate video. But I did want to show you guys how easy it was to make this and what I'll be doing for my kind of base weapons moving forward in NGS, as well as a couple of other utility options in another video. Anyway guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end it here. As always, appreciate the like, appreciate the subscribe if you guys want to keep up with the content itself. Make sure you click on the bell icon to be notified of videos as it goes live, as well as community posts, and follow us over on Discord. Wow, Discord? No. Follow us over on Twitter and join us over on Discord for notifications via those two avenues, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching the video all the way to the end. Again, make sure to comment that you made it all the way to the end. If you made it all the way to the end, see you in the next video. Take care. Peace out, guys.